Mariam Andrea Vallejo was a name that became etched into the hearts and minds of an entire nation. Born on February 19, 1998, in the scenic town of Heredia, Costa Rica, Mariam was a young woman filled with potential and promise. She was the eldest of three children in a loving, hard-working family. Her parents, Douglas Fernandez and Ivania Vallejo, were the kind of parents who sacrificed their own comforts to ensure their children had a bright future. They worked tirelessly to give Mariam and her siblings every opportunity to succeed, instilling in them values of hard work, kindness, and resilience. Mariam was a remarkable young woman. Known for her striking beauty, she turned heads wherever she went. Her long, dark hair, flawless features, and large, expressive eyes made her a standout. But it wasn't just her looks that made her special. Mariam was intelligent, driven, and compassionate. She excelled academically, earning her a place at a prestigious university in San Jose, where she pursued her dream of becoming a journalist. Her goal was to use her voice to bring stories to life, to shed light on important issues, and to make a difference in her community. Mariam's life seemed destined for greatness. But beneath the surface of her bright future, fate had other plans. At just 18 years old, her world began to change in ways no one could have predicted. It was during her time in San Jose that she met Marvin Alonso Bernes, a man who would ultimately lead her down a path of heartbreak, betrayal, and tragedy. Marvin was everything Mariam's family feared. Born in 1992 into a wealthy family, he grew up in San Jose surrounded by privilege and excess. His parents owned a successful chain of cafes and department stores, and Marvin lived a life of luxury from the moment he was born. But while his upbringing was filled with material wealth, it lacked discipline and accountability. Marvin's parents indulged his every whim, shielding him from the consequences of his actions. He grew up spoiled, demanding, and entitled, with little regard for rules or boundaries. By his teenage years, Marvin's behavior had become increasingly troubling. He was a regular at the city's most exclusive parties, often indulging in alcohol and drugs. His relationships were fleeting and superficial, and he showed little interest in pursuing a career or meaningful goals. Despite his destructive lifestyle, Marvin had a magnetic charm. His good looks, combined with his family's wealth, made him irresistible to many women. But his relationships were marked by possessiveness, control, and aggression, patterns that would come to define his time with Mariam. The exact circumstances of how Mariam and Marvin met remain unclear. Some say they were introduced by mutual friends at a party, while others believe Marvin came across Mariam's social media profile and was captivated by her beauty. Whatever the case, their relationship began in 2016, and from the very start, it was tumultuous. Marvin's charm and affluence initially swept Mariam off her feet, but his true nature quickly revealed itself. Marvin was possessive and controlling, treating Mariam more like a possession than a partner. He would mask his aggression as affection, often dismissing his actions as playful or teasing. But those closest to Mariam began to notice signs of trouble. Her friends saw bruises on her arms and legs, but when they questioned her, she always brushed it off, insisting it was nothing to worry about. Mariam was young, inexperienced in relationships, and deeply in love. She rationalized Marvin's behavior, convincing herself that it was his unique way of showing how much he cared. By October 2016, their relationship took an unexpected turn. Mariam discovered she was pregnant. The news came as a shock to everyone, including Marvin. At just 18 years old, Mariam was faced with a life-altering decision. Her parents, though initially devastated, rallied around her, promising to support her no matter what. They urged her to focus on her education and warned her against marrying Marvin, whom they already distrusted. Marvin, on the other hand, reacted with hostility. He pressured Mariam to terminate the pregnancy, claiming they weren't ready for such a responsibility. But Mariam stood her ground. She was determined to keep the baby, even if it meant going through the process alone. Eventually, Marvin proposed marriage, framing it as a noble act to do the right thing. Against her parents' wishes, Mariam accepted. Their marriage, however, was far from a fairy tale. With no job or means to support his new family, Marvin moved into Mariam's parents' home. Douglas and Ivania, determined to ensure their daughter and future grandchild were cared for, took on the financial burden. They provided everything, from food and housing to medical expenses, while Marvin contributed nothing. Despite their generosity, Marvin showed no gratitude. Instead, he continued his reckless lifestyle, spending his nights at parties, drinking heavily, and engaging in infidelity. The abuse also escalated. Marvin's possessiveness turned into outright aggression. He insulted Mariam, belittling her appearance and undermining her confidence. Friends noticed that Mariam, once outgoing and full of life, had become withdrawn and isolated. She rarely left the house, and when she did, it was always with Marvin's permission. In July 2017, Mariam gave birth to a beautiful baby girl, Luciana. The arrival of their daughter brought Mariam immense joy, but it did little to change Marvin's behavior. He rarely visited the baby, and when he did, it often led to arguments. Marvin began using Luciana as a weapon to manipulate Mariam, threatening to take the child away if she ever left him. The breaking point came in December 2017. Marvin arrived at Mariam's parents' home in an agitated state, accusing her of deliberately putting their daughter to sleep to avoid spending time with him. His anger spiraled out of control, and he attacked Mariam, attempting to strangle her. Her father, Douglas, intervened just in time, saving her life. For the first time, Mariam reported Marvin to the police, providing evidence of the bruises and marks on her neck. But the Bernes family, leveraging their wealth and influence, pressured her to withdraw the complaint. Overwhelmed and manipulated, Mariam relented. By early 2018, Marvin convinced Mariam to reconcile. He promised he had changed, pleading with her to give him another chance for the sake of their daughter. Against her parents' desperate pleas, Mariam agreed. They moved into a house owned by Marvin's family, isolating her further from the support of her loved ones. Just 11 days later, on March 29, 2018, Mariam's life came to a tragic end. According to Marvin, the two had argued, and Mariam locked herself in the bathroom. He claimed she slipped and fell, suffering a fatal head injury. However, paramedics who arrived at the scene found bruises and marks consistent with strangulation. Suspiciously, Marvin's mother and sister had cleaned the bathroom before police could investigate, erasing critical evidence. Despite the evidence, the initial autopsy report listed her death as accidental, but Mariam's parents refused to accept this. They pursued a second autopsy, which revealed the truth. Mariam had been strangled. Marvin was finally arrested in July 2018, months after her death. The trial, which began in January 2020, exposed the full extent of Marvin's abuse. Witnesses testified about his violent behavior, and forensic evidence contradicted his claims of an accidental fall. Despite his family's attempts to paint Mariam as unstable and blame her for her own death, the court found Marvin guilty of premeditated homicide. On January 27, 2020, Marvin was sentenced to 50 years in prison and ordered to pay nearly $700,000 in compensation to Mariam's family. Yet, even in the face of overwhelming evidence, he showed no remorse, maintaining his innocence and blaming media coverage for his conviction. While Marvin serves his sentence under reportedly lenient conditions due to his family's influence, Mariam's parents, now raised Luciana, determined to give her the life their daughter never had. Mariam's story is a sobering reminder of the dangers of ignoring the warning signs of abuse. It is a tale of love, manipulation, and loss that continues to resonate as a call for justice and change. If this story moved you, please consider subscribing to our channel. Your support helps us share more stories like Mariam's and raise awareness about the dangers of domestic violence. Don't forget to like this video and turn on notifications to stay updated on our latest content. Thank you for watching.